Some of you might be familiar with the story of Sandra Lang, or maybe have even seen the movie about her story called Skin. Sandra Lang was born to two very white European-looking parents. However, Sandra looked anything but white. She looked biracial, and to some people, she looks like a light brown-skinned black woman. I can hear some of you in the comment sections already screaming, "The mother clearly cheated, that's not her father." Just hold your horses for a moment. Just wait and be patient. Sometimes things are not quite as they seem. Sandra Lang's parents, Abraham and Sandy Lang, were of Dutch and German ancestry. Their parents were white, their grandparents were white, and their great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents were white, but their daughter somehow was black. By a biological quirk, the genes of an unknown black ancestor that had lain dormant for hundreds of years had decided to manifest in Sandra. Sandra Lang was what they at that time called a throwback, or more correctly, a product of genetic atavism. The dictionary's definition of atavism is a tendency to revert to something ancient or ancestral, or in regards to biology, a reoccurrence of traits of an ancestor in a subsequent generation. Atavisms are traits of distant ancestors that pop up or reappear when you least expect them. In order for the trait to be considered an atavism, the child's parents can't have the trait, and neither can recent ancestors. So the parents have to look white or be white. We're talking less than a few percent of African DNA, and sometimes even less than that. So it can't be a result of a quarter black or eighth black parent or something like that. It has to be a lot more distant. People born with atavistic traits can range in phenotype. Some may simply have some curly hair and slightly tanned skin, while others range all the way to appearing half black or completely full black or of African descent, whichever term you prefer. In the book Suddenly and Shockingly Black by J. Michael Duvall, he states, in Lola Leroy, the heroine warns the white Dr. Gresham, her first suitor, that should they marry and procreate, her race could be revealed by an unmistakably black child. An undeniable throwback to a black racial past. Such a child would result from the supposed process of atavism. In Latin, a great-grandfather's grandfather. Submerged racial features were believed to skip generations only to recur farther down the family line, rupturing a smooth hereditary narrative of blending and exposing the parents' true race, always black and never white. So to paraphrase, atavism is when an ancestral genetic trait reappears after a very long period of time. For example, two white parents give birth to a child that looks black, without infidelity and without cheating. In regards to Sandra Lang, genetic throwbacks or atavisms were not unheard of, but if there was ever a wrong place and wrong time for this phenomenon, it was apartheid South Africa. After a blood typing test for paternity, it was proven that her white father was indeed her biological father. It is believed that her parents shared as little as 5% Khoisan African DNA. I would definitely recommend that you check out the movie Skin to get an understanding of what Sandra Lang went through during this time in South Africa. But this video isn't about Sandra. I just wanted to give you guys an explanation and a different example first. This video is about Anthony Lennon. As you can see, Anthony Lennon looks biracial. If he told you he was white and had white parents and white grandparents, you'd probably think he was pulling your leg. What kind of self-hatred is this? Some of you may not have heard of him, and some of you may have, but I thought it was a very interesting story, which shows the power of genetics. In November 2018, Anthony was accused of being a white man pretending to live his life as a black man. He was accused of pulling a Rachel Dolezal. All of his life, people assumed Anthony was half black. He even received racial hatred and was attacked for the way he looked. His own father accused his mother of cheating on him with a black man. But in November 2018, Anthony received a text message from a journalist asking for his comments on a story that the Sunday Times were about to publish on Anthony himself, claiming that he had scammed a program out of funding by pretending to be black. The story was about Anthony being accused of getting his job as the artistic theater director for Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups. Anthony Lennon had been awarded an 18-month residency with Talawa, Britain's best-known black-led theater company. The journalist said, "It does seem striking that neither the ADLP nor the Talawa has ever made clear that you are indeed a white man." The journalist wrote, adding, Why has neither Talawar Theater or the ADLP program made clear that you have received BAME funding as a white man with Irish parents? It was true. His parents were white, but Anthony states that this was not a secret. He says he never hid this from anyone and he was always upfront about this fact. He stated that he believed he had African heritage. In Anthony's words, he had always been treated by people as mixed race, and so identified as a person of mixed heritage based on the way he looked. He didn't think he had to answer to anything. The company Talawa knew about him looking the way he did while having white parents. 2 days later, the Sunday Times published a story accusing Anthony Lennon of passing as black. A theater director who has won funds meant for people of color has admitted his parents and grandparents were all white, was the headline. The article compared Anthony to Rachel Dolezal. Anthony Lennon was portrayed as a con man who had cheated his way to the top at the expense of black people. One newspaper claimed that Anthony chose to identify as black because he had curly hair and had struggled to find good parts as a white actor. Another newspaper stated that Anthony had received a quarter of a grant worth £406,000. That's about $507,000. Trevor Phillips, a former chair of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, said, "We should be doing more to help individuals of talent from black and ethnic minority communities. And we cannot do that if the few opportunities that exist are going to white people who are self-identifying as something else." Both the Talawa Company and Arts Council stood by Anthony, saying that he had never lied to them and was always open about his family history. Anthony said he never tried to pass as black. He says instead, he spent a lifetime failing to pass as white. He simply decided to embrace the identity the rest of the world forced upon him. Everyone said he was black and refused to accept him as white. So he became, in his own words, what the world made him. The following excerpts are Anthony's words to a newspaper interview that was conducted a few months back. He remembers being with his brother Vincent in a cupboard upstairs, hiding from the prying neighbors who had come to look at the two strange children, friends asking where his black parent was, the school caretaker threatening to set dogs on him and yelling, "Run, N-word, run." Anthony's two younger brothers also looked mixed race. His mother told him that when he was a baby, people would stare at the two of them in the street. Some would shout at her from the other side of the road. Some would spit, and some would even throw stones at the pram. Even his grandmother said that he was a curse on the family and sent him to bed clutching rosary beads so he could pray for forgiveness and wake up looking normal. A Sunday school worker chastised him for using a light brown pencil when drawing a picture of himself and his brother. His father accused his mother of having an affair for 12 years. His father was convinced that his 3 sons were the product of infidelity. But although Anthony and his brothers looked mixed race, they also resembled their white father. Ever since Anthony was aware of the term, he believed he was a throwback. Yes, his family is white as far back as he can go, but he's sure that there is African ancestry somewhere. Anthony said that at school, all his friends were black or mixed. The white kids didn't want to know him, and the black children seemed to instantly gravitate to him and he to them. He says his brother Vincent struggled with his identity, but in a different way. He couldn't understand why Anthony embraced his blackness. Vincent became a skinhead and suffered from depression, and at the age of 19, he died after a terrible incident on a train. A door opened and he fell onto the tracks. An investigation into Vincent's death, in which one witness described Vincent as half-caste, that's an old derogatory term for mixed race or biracial. Within the investigation, they concluded that there was nothing wrong with the door and his brother must have jumped out of the train. Anthony has always been convinced that his brother intended to take his own life and that it was suicide. When Anthony was older, he became an actor and noticed all the roles he was being offered were for black or mixed race characters, regardless of him expressing that he was white. Anthony said that, more than anything else, it was the prejudice he experienced as a child and young adult that made him want to identify as black. The Sunday school teacher and his own grandmother may have thought his appearance was something to be ashamed of, but he didn't. If their attitudes were representative of being white, he was happy to renounce his whiteness. In 1990, Anthony appeared in a TV play called Chilling Out. It was an exploration of race, class, and identity, in which 7 young actors talk about the experience and spirit of being black in the United Kingdom. When Anthony was asked about his backstory, he said he was from Ireland. The other actors started to nod their head approvingly and asked which island, assuming he was from the West Indies. He looks at them and says, "No, I mean Ireland," and goes to explain that both his parents are white. The rest of the cast looked at him astonished and said that he must be in denial about his blackness, and then they started to make jokes about his mother and the black milkman. After telling his fellow actors that he was simply a white man that looked black, the other actors asked if he was in denial. Is race an objective truth or a construct based on what others see in you and what you see in the mirror? When Anthony is asked how he himself identifies, he says when he's alone in his bedroom, looking in the mirror, thinking about stuff he's written down, thinking about his past, relationship-wise, pictures on the wall, he thinks and sees a black man. He says it's confusing to him also. He sees what he looks like, but then is confused by his actual DNA. Before Anthony's father died in 1999, he said to Anthony, "As far as I'm concerned, you're white, and I think you've got an identity problem." Recently, Anthony decided to take an ancestry DNA test. The results showed his genetic makeup, country by country: 46% Irish and Scottish, 22% from England, Wales, and Northwestern Europe, but then there was 32%, which was from West Africa. When Anthony was asked how he felt about the results, he said, "All it's done for me is confirmed in data what I've always known." He said that sometime in the future, he'd love to trace those African roots right back through to his family. But for now, only one thing matters to him, and that's that the African blood is there. Interesting story. So what are your thoughts on atavism or genetic throwbacks? Can someone that looks black or biracial claim to be black if they have two white parents as a result of African genetics reappearing via atavism? Does phenotype trump genotype? Does how you are judged by society matter more? Does what you look like matter more than your actual genetic makeup? Anyway, I'd love to see your thoughts. Peace, love, and coconut oil. Hey man, that's racist. Please remember that from now on, brand new never before seen videos, as well as live streams, will only be available on my website, ikyg.com, via a Patreon subscription. ikyg.com is a Black-owned, Black-ran platform, 100% free from censorship. It's the only place where we don't have to worry about what we say and expressing ourselves. Make sure you check out the description and the comment section for important links, as well as information in video form that shows you what benefits you get when you support the site and join my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then don't forget to subscribe and be notified every time I upload a video. For exclusive content and perks, check out my Patreon. This is where we have private live streams, group chats, live Q&As, live phone calls, and open topics. This is a safe space where you can interact with other like-minded people, make friends, send each other direct private messages, and so much more without any trolls. And yes, you get to use GIFs and images in the live chats. So what are you waiting for? This is a completely independent website, free from censorship. If you'd like to make a donation towards the site so we can continue to put out the truth without fear of being silenced, then please hit that donation button. It's greatly appreciated. Check out the rest of the site for videos, private and public live streams, find out all the tea, and make sure to utilize the Black Money section of the website. Advertise your business absolutely free to people that look like you, free forever. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at angel_IKYG.